Mr. Graham Campbell's profile. I think I was 18, maybe 19 when I first started training with New Tao Fit Martial Arts. I had been to a couple of other clubs around the area, but never liked what I saw, instructors that just yelled out commands, and never interacted with the students. A friend of mine said he knew a good instructor, and so we both went and tried it out. I think from that first night I was hooked. It was obvious that Quan Jiang Nim was not only a great teacher, but also someone who interacted with his students, and had a wealth of knowledge. I am now 48, so if you do the sums, I've been with New Tao Fit for around 29 or 30 years. When you stick around that long, there must be something right about it. I progressed through each ranking level, training sometimes 3 hours a night. Yes, in those days, you did earn your stripes. When I first started I had bad asthma, and I can remember pushing myself to the absolute limits, but Geoff was always there for me, to teach me to slow my breathing down, rub pressure points, and anything else that might help. To this day I credit Geoff for various impacts on my life: fitness, health, confidence, self-esteem, martial arts ability, and also his teaching style, which I have incorporated into my own teachings. I think I must have been around 6 to 12 months into my training when I met Sifu Colin. He would come in and teach alongside Geoff on many occasions, and I can always remember the brutal training nights we would have. I say this in the nicest sense of the word. His martial arts ability is something that has to be seen to be believed. Explosive speed and power, and techniques that have stood the test of time. It was hard to learn at times, but well worth the time and effort to learn. His art, Dun Fu Tao, is devastatingly efficient, powerful, and with remarkable speed. To this day Colin remains a powerhouse in his martial arts, and someone I still look to with awe. Training in those days wasn't easy, many hours on many days per week, honing skills, learning new techniques, and coming home, on most nights, literally black and blue. I remember these years fondly, as it really did change my life, and I think this training and my instructors instilled in me the ability to have a steely resolve, to get off my backside, to learn continuously, to improve myself, and challenge myself to new heights career-wise, and personally. The club also had a real family feel, with other instructors and students, always giving time to help, to lend a helping hand. It was in 1992, after 4 years of training, that I graded to black belt, a very proud moment, but also a time of responsibility, to strive to be the best black belt I could be. It isn't something to be taken lightly. All black belts should always be aware of this responsibility, and I live by this term in myself, that Geoff really instilled in me, and that is the journey, has only just begun. To this day I am grateful that I had the privilege to be able to train at the New Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy, and it is a privilege that I am still part of the club, so many years down the road. Thank you. Mr. Fred Finnegan's audio profile. Well, what a fantastic leader and mentor Geoff Hutchison has been to me. And Bayside Kickboxing, New Tao Fit Martial Arts, a man who has given his absolute all to the clubs and students. We first met at Bayside Kickboxing in 1986, and very special relationship was formed, and grew stronger with time. Geoff is currently fighting the toughest fight in his career, with the strength and determination he installed into us. Geoff will have no problem in taking the win. Keep punching, my friend, and we will all benefit from your experiences. Thank you.
My name is Heinz Rieker. In the year of 1992 I became involved with Martial Arts Academy through a friend by the name of Erhard, who introduced me to the Nurture Fit Martial Arts Academy. From the first day I was totally overwhelmed with enthusiasm and wanted to learn all I needed to know about self-defense. I've heard a lot about the art of Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu, and my expectations were met. My becoming a life member with the Instructor Martial Arts Academy was the best decision that I could have made for all the right reasons. Many hard years of training that followed helped me to become more confident and gave me more self-esteem. Thanks to all the instructors and students I trained with, whose ethics were based on discipline and camaraderie, gave me the edge to perform and drive myself much harder. I made many friends at the club, especially with my head instructor, Geoff Hutchinson, who had enormous influence over me. I later was introduced to a man with a difference, whose name is Colin Dunn, Sifu. His teaching made you question yourself and needed to know more. His teachings came with so much knowledge and intrigue that made you question his teaching that presented a style of its own. I'm so grateful to have discovered this academy. It had to be the best move I ever made. I've always wanted to learn and understand of how one goes about how to look after yourself. It definitely gave me everything I needed to know about the art of self-defense. Thank you.
Master Paul Mychek's profile. Senior, highly ranked instructor and teacher with the new Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy. For head instructor, Geoff Hutchinson. Paul's credentials, his background: Taekwonjutsu, Taekwondo, advanced defensive tactics, yoga, skilled in all weapons, in martial arts, has written many books, dealing with security personnel, and major companies overseas, a wealth of knowledge, has trained many professional people. I met Paul through my friend, your instructor Geoff. He wanted us to spend time learning about each other. Paul, he is a very knowledgeable person, where I'm entirely different. His focus was very strong. He shows very little in his emotions. That tells me he questions himself. I was very pleased. We had that time. We learned so much about each other over the years. He's very observant. He questioned me about my teachings, how everything is very extreme. He wanted to know more on this extreme speed, your balance. We talked. I covered many areas. In applications, everything was so different. How do you control your mind that triggers, that responds so fast? This balance you have, I told him, state of relaxation, through mental state of mind. He came to see me at home. We were talking on a syllabus for my teachings on the Dunfu Tao system learning tool. We talked for hours. Paul's conclusion: impossible for a syllabus on paper, too much involved. He suggested it would be best in our interest to keep with video capture.
Mr. Matthew Scott's profile. My time at the new Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy has certainly been an enlightening experience over the years. Being a local to the Bentley area, I seen the sign on Center Road quite often, and first decided to join in with a friend when I was about 9. To learn karate from another instructor. This is when the academy was still upstairs in Center Road. And I can still remember delaying leaving at the end of the class to watch some of the senior students start their training, and be in awe from their speed and accuracy. From the memories of a child, everyone that helped with any of the katas, their training and sparring, was very friendly and understanding. If you couldn't perform an action or movement correctly, and they were all willing to help you improve. Unfortunately, my time was a bit short for the first time around with my mode of transport to and from the dojang. Then it disappeared when my friend's mum moved away. There was a fair gap between the first and second stints with the academy, with high school and other things happening. After high school, and I took up jiu-jitsu. lessons for a year and a half, but felt there was something missing in terms of being a fully well-rounded martial artist. So the decision to come back to the academy was an easy one. I was coming in as this adult. For the first time, KJN.Geoff, head instructor of this academy, was very welcoming to this stranger. He took the time to have a chat about why I was there and what I expected. To an extent, I was paired with Jared, who was able to give me a gentle introduction into self-defense. The welcoming attitudes of everyone that night easily got me back into this again. The main reason for remaining was the people within the academy. Bender, Pete, both Nicks, Steve, Jared, Ryan, and many more, with a few instructors in particular. Paul, Jeff, and Colin were the core of the academy. During the second stint, each had their own very unique way of teaching, but their dedication to the students is absolutely unwavering. Master Paul would be the instructor I spent the least time with, but it certainly was time well spent. His constant and calm demeanor certainly helped with understanding more about the flows of energy through the body and how they can be used effectively. As someone who is a self-admitted skeptic about energy in the body, Paul certainly showed me otherwise. One night when my back seized, he applied some Reiki and showed what the proper application of energy can do for the body. It wasn't just the healing energies. His understanding of Reiki, the energy transfer and movements, helped a lot of the enclosed self-defense tactics. KJN.Geoff is the head instructor of the new TAOFIT Martial Arts Academy, and certainly gave his all for his students. Even when his body wasn't 100%, he always was concerned with everyone's development and safety. Even if you felt that you could go on, he would pull you up to make sure everything is alright, and stop you if necessary. After taking my first big left hook to the chin when sparring with Bender, Jeff noticed the spaced expression, and made me stop for the rest of the night, and made sure everything was alright the next night, that I wasn't on the other side of the spectrum. Jeff was able to push your limits like no other, if you were willing to put in the effort, showing that no matter your experience, there was always something more to learn. He would also push in a more subtle fashion, to grow as a person, by getting you to teach others. Since I had more experience in grappling with jiu-jitsu, I was asked to help others improve their ground game. This helped me understand different ways of imparting knowledge to others, which in turn helped me absorb what others were teaching or demonstrating. Like Paul, Jeff's demeanor was always constant and calm, ensuring there was no real distractions and that you could maintain your focus. Sifu Colin is someone that will leave a lasting impression on anyone that spends time with him. His wealth of knowledge and self-defense tactics is astounding, but it was more how he could be like Quicksilver in his actions and ferocity. Being invited to his training sessions was a proud but uneasy moment. It was quite daunting getting used to the intensity that he brought to training, but it showed a completely new aspect of self-defense to me, and how your mentality going into any situation can affect the outcome. As much as the training went, it was equal in trying to increase your speed and strength, along with preparing your thought processes for any situation that you may face. Getting you to think through what your actions may cause, and any ramifications they may bring, was certainly an eye-opener, and Colin had an incredible array of past situations that he would explain to make sure you understood the lesson of the night. Everyone within the academy that you meet and get to know leave a very positive and lasting impression, all of them creating a wonderfully inclusive atmosphere that is sorely missed when you spend time away. Thank you.
Peter Haynes. I had always loved martial arts since I was little. I watched every martial art movie which I could get my hands on. But I had never given it a try because I always thought, you either had to be Asian, or start when you were very young. I first heard about the new Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy from two of my friends, Patrick and Ian, who had been training there for a couple of years. They told me lots of good things about the club, like the fact that you were not restricted to a specific style of martial art, but instead were encouraged to develop according to your own abilities. I went over to my friend's place and they told me that they were going to try this club out, and I decided to go with them. I had always been able to handle myself in a fight, because my brother used to beat me up a lot, so I had to get strong to be able to hold my own. But the first time I started walking up the stairs to the club in East Bentley, I became nervous, as I realized that I was going to train with people who actually practiced and knew how to fight properly. As I got to the top of the stairs and sat down with my friends, Phil and Chris, I saw two other friends and a bunch of other people doing forms which I didn't understand and thought I would never be able to remember all those movements. We waited until they were finished, and then Geoff came over and introduced himself and asked us what we wanted to learn. He then took us out to the back ring and proceeded to put us all in a lot of pain. We asked lots of questions, and he put us in more pain. I will never forget the first time he put an arm bar on me, and I bounced off the ground. I have a very clear image in my head of looking up at him with amazement. I had never been put in so much pain from such a small movement and under his complete control. From that moment on I was hooked. My friends and I started to train every chance we could. I was very lucky to find such a good school with great teachers and students. I was very impressed by the different teachers who taught different styles according to their own abilities. I tried to soak up as much knowledge as I could. I would go in on Saturday and Sunday, and Dave and Greg would be teaching weapons. So I tried to learn how to use a lot of the weapons I had grown up seeing in movies, like nunchucks. I really enjoyed the experience of when different teachers would take the class, like Pete or Paul Mychek, and show us completely different way of doing things. I thought it was great that my friend Chris could learn capoeira, the Brazilian style. It showed me the diversity within the club, and that it didn't matter whether Geoff could do the movements or not, but he could definitely teach it. This made me realize that anything I wanted to learn was possible with such a great teacher as Geoff. I had heard a lot about Geoff's teacher Colin from the people at the club. They said he was unbelievably strong and very dangerous. Geoff showed great respect for his teacher Colin and told us lots of great stories about him. I didn't believe that someone could live up to hype of the stories, or be more dangerous than Geoff. But I quickly realized that I was wrong. At that time I thought that no one would be able to put me in more pain than Geoff. My first experience with Colin was when he used me to demonstrate some crazy movement to the other guys I was training with. I was on the ground waiting for my wrist bones to break under the pressure of his two fingers. It was awe-inspiring for someone to have that kind of power just using his index finger and thumb, and then looked down at me and realized how much pain I was in, and released the pressure with a sadistic laugh. That laugh I would hear a lot more of in the years to come. I was lucky enough to start being taught by Colin. With a few of the guys, it was extremely confronting, and he really made us think about what we were doing. He asked us a lot of hard questions, and showed us a lot of very different movements and ways of doing things. Sometimes it was very hard to follow, because I felt out of my depth. But I remember Geoff saying, "Take as much as you can, watch the way he moves his feet. and changes balance. And the more you take on board, the better you will be. It's been 15 years since I started training. But I still feel out of my depth when I train with Colin, but every small aspect I can take from his teachings definitely makes me better. Even after all these years of experience, with my strength and personal fitness, Colin and Geoff are still able to shock me with their ability to control me and put me in tremendous pain. I have to add in here that it sounds like these people were just inflicting pain on me. But I realized then and much more now that learning the technique requires you to experience the pain. If you don't experience the pain, you do not respect the technique. And then you won't put in the hours and years that it takes to learn the techniques properly. Learning at the new Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy has been one of the best experiences in my life. It has given me self-confidence, taught me self-control, the ability to avoid dangerous situations, and great respect for the club and its teachers. I think it is a fantastic ability of Geoff and the other teachers to be able to teach someone the skills to protect themselves and their loved ones from danger. I am extremely grateful to now have the ability to pass on these skills to others. The club has been going through some hard times over the past couple of years. I would really like to thank Paul Mychek for all his efforts and also other senior students for keeping the club alive. It's a great club with great teachers and an excellent learning philosophy. Still to this day I can learn each time I walk through the doors. Martial arts are something I will be doing for the rest of my life.
Stephen Mason. I've been here at the Academy with KJN.Geoff for a few years now. I started back from a traditional Aikido background, and I've done that for 7 years and become a second degree black belt. And it wasn't until I came into the Academy that I realised the very old traditional ways were very antiquated, and I wasn't really allowed to learn the full art because I wasn't taught the full art. Once I've come here to the Academy with KJN and also working with Stephen Colin, it's opened my eyes to a whole new range of skills, techniques, and especially mindset. I'm a totally different person to what I was when I first started. Everything was defense with Aikido, and everything here is the opposite. It's to defeat your opponent mentally as well as physically. It's just taken me totally out of my comfort zone when I first started. And now that I've been here a few years, it's sort of broken me down, but it's rebuilt me. But now I'm able to use my old techniques, but with much more strategic movement because I have a better understanding now because I'm taught outside of the box. When I was training with you, I found that because your techniques are very unconventional, it just teaches me to think outside the box. Here at the Academy, there's a variety of different masters that can have different techniques, different tools, but all different from each other, and that's because of the various masters, their backgrounds as well. I've also done a lot of work with Paul Mychek, and I've done 2 levels of the pressure point defensive tactics, which is again opening a whole new world to me, which I personally would like to spend more time specialising in the pressure point, because the pressure point can so much more enhance the technique because it breaks down the body as well, but using the science of the body as well as the technique. I found that a whole new ball game for me, in addition to what I've learned with KJN, and also with my work with Stephen Colin. Again, a whole different style of training, because Stephen Colin trains in a very different way. He likes to look at us individually at our styles and likes to sort of us to learn from him as a key tool. That he likes to break down what we're doing and analyse it, and then so we can further enhance it to get the best out of what we're doing, more efficient, different, unusual. I guess also a technique that we look at here at the Academy, strength conditioning through different methods. In particular, using the ball technique that Stephen Colin likes to teach, and that builds up strength in the hands and the fingers that you would never normally use through any other means. and that enables you to get much more strength out of your fingers, your hands, when you're grabbing, when you're poking, when you're doing various techniques. And not a lot of people tend to think of training your hands and fingers in such a way. The other thing that we work on a lot is here is the body and the balance, and looking at your opponent's body and their balance so that you can take advantage of their mistakes through the body balance and manoeuvring. And another thing also we look at here, and what Steve Collins does a lot of work with, is speed, so that you can catch your opponent's mind off guard by being quicker than them, so that they don't expect a barrage of attacks to defeat them.
And Nick, regards to your profile, now would you like to hear what you had said?
Mr. Nick Baker's profile. Before writing my article, I would like to say thanks to all the instructors at the new TauFit Martial Arts Academy. I have been pushed, challenged both mentally and physically, given goals to work towards, and have made some good friends that I trust and respect. A little bit on my background. To gain a better idea of why I have such an appreciation for the new TauFit Martial Arts Academy. After 16 years of total commitment to the sport of swimming representing Australia, aged 26, it was time to move on to something else. Hung up the togs and started work. And started looking for another challenge. This came in the form of Aikido, where I trained for a number of years. Received my second Dan grading. And although I enjoyed it and felt confident in the dojo, I knew that martial arts had more to offer. So I started looking around. I went to a few venues, but nothing grabbed my fancy. Seemed that the training was very similar to what I had previously done. After many attempts from a young fella that I employed, asking me to join him at his martial arts academy, I finally accepted. My young friend introduced me to his instructor KJN.Geoff. I asked questions: what martial arts do you do? He said everything. I asked again, what style? He answered, boxing, kickboxing, hand-to-hand combat using taekwondo. There is a Sifu, he has his own way. I had never heard of taekwondo or the Sifu way. However, I turned up 7 years ago, and I will remain in the academy for a long time to come. He was right when he said everything. My first impression of the academy: people moved in combat like I had never seen before. People will get hurt if they don't pay attention. People trained hard and had intent with their training. The training had meaning and purpose. There were no set strikes or attacks. I was hooked. On my first visit to the academy, head instructor KJN.Geoff Hutchinson asked what I wanted to learn. He asked my background and tried to explain what the academy was all about. To be honest, I couldn't really concentrate on Jeff at this point in time. I was too busy watching the training and asking myself what I had been doing for the last number of years. I want to say at this point how much I respect KJN.Geoff. His knowledge about his craft is unquestionable. I think Jeff has enough experience with altercations, situations, or competitions for the both of us. And whilst training with him, the strikes and punches feel like you have been struck with a sledgehammer. I think his hands are made of steel. Jeff's passionate, patient, and also very practical with his teaching. He allows me to have light bulb moments in my own time. And when the time is right, things just make sense. This was one. Especially evident whilst he taught me the scar techniques. As I started to understand how to move more, options became available for strikes, locks, takedowns, etc. 7 years later he still blows my mind with new things to think about whilst I'm at training. KJN.Geoff has changed the way I think, the way I move, the way I look at an opponent. He has given me a skill set that allows flow and movement, which can be applied to all martial arts. He refers to combat flow, where there is no stopping or freezing of movements in the hand-to-hand combat. It's taken years for the combat to flow freely, but still need to make it better. About 2 years ago Geoff introduced me to some forms called Pumse. After practicing the forms and learning the movements we were then able to explore how the forms apply to combat. Again more light bulb moments. And how a simple movement can be made into hundreds of movements. This was very powerful and I felt like I was back in grade 3. Was very cool. What is Sifu? I have never met anyone in my life like Sifu. Short in stature, an aura of intent, glasses, looks like he should be in the movies. Sifu Colin and I were introduced to one another by KJN.Geoff. He explained that Sifu Colin was his teacher and now he comes and works with the senior students only. When I arrived at training he was on the mats. With a group of seniors they all seemed to be doing manipulating exercises. With their hands and fingers. I asked him what he was doing. He explained that hand and finger strength is crucial in their training. Developing muscle strength in hands. Punching correctly. Strikes with open hands. Grabbing. Holding. Twisting. Locking. On any part of the body causing lingering pain. I had never thought about this before. The session moved on to hand-to-hand combat and Sifu Colin asked us to explore as many pinches. Twisting with fingers. Punches, strikes, grabs, locks from one initiation strike. He demonstrated, lighting quick, precise and multiple upon multiple strikes within seconds. The training was intimidating yet exciting. He spoke slowly and moved fast. I had to really focus. Just to understand what he was trying to teach us. He demonstrated and instructed at a very high and intense level, balance and timing been a highlighted factor. It was mentally exhausting as well as physically exhausting working in his sessions. His teaching was at a level far higher than my capability. Yet I did enjoy this. Sifu Colin is like a professor, he looks at things from different angles not just front on. Making reference to the way animals move, how can we learn from them? He analyzes and studies the movement or movements with great detail. He uses years of experience boxing and studying many different Asian arts. He doesn't just accept, he knows, and if he doesn't know he will study it. Sifu Colin doesn't have a style or label for what he does or teaches, it's more like a way of doing things. This makes it complex. And always evolving. There is no room for ego otherwise you get hurt. I have seen a number of black belts start training with us. But they don't stay. Or they don't last or they get hurt. Because of their ego. I feel it must be frustrating sometimes. When the students don't commit to the training as we should. I personally would like to train more but the work, family, training relationship must be balanced. I think that balance lies in the favor of work and family than training. Years ago the balance was in favor of training whilst I was swimming but not now. I think Sifu Colin would love to have students that were that committed. Colin has a huge amount to teach. And I hope that through his articles and often rare appearances, his teachings will continue through KJN.Geoff and the other students. Before finishing I would like to thank Sifu Colin for being so patient. It's taken a long time for me to write this article about Master Paul. Over the past few years from my understanding, the Academy has had some financial difficulties. And thanks to the efforts of both Master Paul and KJN.Geoff, things are starting to turn around. Paul is a very accomplished instructor that has bought his corporate experience and applied it to help the Academy to move forward into 2015 and onwards. Paul has worked tirelessly to document various courses and create training syllabus that will allow other instructors to continue to teach what has been developed at New Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy, creating a syllabus for all the different areas of what the New Tao Fit Martial Arts Academy has to offer. Must have taken hours and hours of work, which I am grateful. I enjoy working with Master Paul and participating in the courses he runs outside of normal training hours. Over the years I have gained extra training in Reiki, advanced defensive tactics, and a little with Qigong. I like the formal setting of these training seminars. That also provide us with the take-home material to help us digest information at a later date. Theoretical training can't replace practical training, but definitely helps structure the learning process. The amount of information that is contained in the courses highlights how much the Academy has to offer, how much there is to learn, and how much more work I have ahead of me. Paul is passionate, dedicated, and driven to see the Academy prosper. I'm sure that over the next few years, we will see the Academy develop further, offer more courses, and hopefully see more senior students come through the ranks. In closing, I am looking forward to the years ahead. And again, thanks to KJN.Geoff, Sifu Colin, and Master Paul. Each instructor offering different skill set and different way of teaching. Sometimes complex, sometimes simple, and always appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Nick Baker.
And it's direct because you're speaking exactly what you're saying in regards to what this profile is about. Take care.
Bye-bye.